She's one hell of a heroine. Literally. Welcome to I Be Suffer.
Oh.
She's literally a bag of heroin.
Uh,
It's rude to say that vampires are from hell.
I mean, true.
Now I'm just thinking about this movie, except it's just heroin. Instead, like, it's just everyone's just interacting with like this bag of heroin for an hour and a half.
Oh man, Sebastian really likes heroin.
This is episode 134 of I Be Suffer. My name is Bath.
I don't fucking know. I'm Regal Monk.
I'm the internet.
All of the internet.
Yeah, I just took a 4-hour nap today. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty nice, honestly. I
No,
just woke up. What do we? Oh yeah, 2005's Bloodrayne is the trash we watched today. It is a movie.
Yeah.
There was like one. So this is like the first time ever that I literally just finished the movie because of reasons that I'm frazzled about still. But there was like a point. First of all, when I started watching it this morning, I got 7 minutes in, and then my internet completely died. And I was like, man, I was 20 minutes into this. No, it was only 7 minutes. So then when I like logged back in and saw I had only watched 7 minutes, I was like, this is gonna be a long journey. And for this is not a good movie. This is not good at all. Like,
I found this more watchable than Alone in the Dark, but this is just kind of like that, like. To me, this was just very like middle of the road, like early 2000s kind of just horror movie where it was just like I wasn't like mad watching it, but I didn't enjoy it either. It was just kind of there.
At least there was cool, like the blood effects were pretty cool for the most part. Like it was fine. There was just something about like even though they made her like costume and stuff like pretty close to like what she was wearing in the game, and like I feel like the lady looks like the character, so like they did a really good job in that aspect, but like the costumes also weren't made well, so it just looked like a one big like LARP, and so it kind of like made it all seem pretty kind of dumb to me.
So I watched this on Prime, and you know how it'll have that like the IMDb trivia shit that pops up on the side.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I saw was Kristana Loken and Michelle Rodriguez had a bisexual relationship as the opening like thing started, and I was like, oh boy, this is the level of trivia we got. This is not gonna be good.
Oh, there were some things in this movie I was definitely not expecting to see for sure.
Like a sex
Like
scene on a
Meatloaf.
jail cell. Yeah, and
Okay,
Meatloaf
also,
covered in naked women.
like when the credits came off and I was like, haha, even though we talked about it 3 times, I definitely forgot Meatloaf was in this. But then when he showed up, I like didn't even recognize him. So then when I was like looking at the cast again just now, I was like, oh yeah, Meatloaf was in this.
If you blink, you miss him. He's there
You
for
do.
like a minute.
He's
If
also I literally called him Orgy Guy. Like I did not know what his name was.
One of the trivia things is that apparently all of the women in the scene with Meatloaf were real sex workers because they were cheaper to hire than actresses.
Jesus.
Oh.
Uwe Boll doing the most. I do not understand how this far into his career, he was able to get this kind of cast. Or
I thought you were going to say the plot.
I know.
I don't understand the plot at all, but I also didn't play
There
the
was
video
an
game.
eyeball.
Like, you look at like the movies he was making, and like they all have these like insane casts that like, even like, you know, like Michael Madsen's not a good actor, but he was still like a pretty big name. And then like Billy Zane and Michelle Rodriguez, fucking Ben Kingsley, Udo Kier, like
It's like a murderer's row of B-list people.
like it's wild that he was still pulling in a cast like this years after like House of the Dead happened.
Yeah.
I think Bloodrayne was the final like nail in the coffin where they were like, okay, this guy clearly is never going to make anything good or
I don't know though,
profitable.
like, well, what's his name was like the lead in The Name of the King or whatever.
Steve Buscemi.
No, fucking, I think the Crank High Voltage
Jonathan
dude.
Taylor Thomas.
Yes, that's it. JTT.
What's happening?
Sinbad.
Oh, Kazam.
Okay, I'd watch a Juve Bowl movie with Shaq in the starring role.
1,000,000%.
Especially now because Shaq's just like a cranky old turd.
Isn't
So
he
cool.
in like the General commercials or something? Like auto insurance?
Yeah, he does the
He
general.
wrestled a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. He wrestled?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah, he came back to wrestling. Can we talk about how the Auschwitz Uwe Boll movie? He is an actor in it, playing an SS guard.
Oh my god.
And there are also
Of course he is.
a bunch of pictures of him dressed up as Hitler for some reason on the internet.
Why not? He loves to cosplay.
I mean,
I
that explains why he decided to not make Bloodrayne about murdering a shitload of Nazis, I guess.
Is that what the
However-
game is about?
Yes.
Yeah, but there are 2 sequels that he also directed, and the third one is called Bloodrayne: The Third Reich. So he didn't decide not to. He just kind of like pushed it back a little bit.
What if the third one, it's Rain's heel turn, and she's leading the Third Reich?
I mean,
That
that would be.
would make sense to me.
Let's see what it's about. It just says she fights against Nazis in Europe during World War II. A
All right.
Nazi leader whose target is to inject Adolf Hitler with Rain's blood in an attempt to transform him and attain mortality.
Oh my god, that sounds so insane.
The tagline is "The Rise of Hitler's Vampire Legion." We
Okay,
should have watched that one.
so I hate to be a bummer, but we have an extra one that we didn't plan for this month. So,
Uh-oh.
Dun.
so In the Name of the King, a Dungeon Siege tale, which is a period piece, stars Jason Statham, Lily Sobieski, John Rhys Davies, Ron Perlman, Claire Forlani from Clerks, Matthew Lillard, not Clerks, Mallrats, Matthew Lillard, Ray Liotta, Burt Reynolds.
Oh my.
Again, all of these people that should not be playing period piece characters.
Also,
Maybe Ron Perlman, but
Will Sanderson, who is in Bloodrayne, is also in The Name of the King. I mean,
Yeah,
Dungeon Siege
Bloodrayne,
is also a game series.
the actress that plays Bloodrayne is also in it.
They couldn't even get her back for Bloodrayne 3. I haven't looked at 2.
Yeah, she did want to fuck on a prison wall again, like the cage
Oh my
or whatever.
god. That was just... I was very confused.
He has a movie called Attack on Darfur, which
Yeah, I saw that. And I was
also
just gonna
stars
leave it.
Bloodrayne herself.
No,
And
I
Billy
think
Zane. And
the
Edward
girl
Furlong.
who plays Rain is different, but she's the same actress between 2 and 3.
Okay, so she got replaced in 2.
Oh my god, you know who's in 2? Brendan Fletcher again. blend in.
Thought you were gonna say Drew Bledsoe.
Sure. What a thing.
How are there 3 in the Name of the King movies?
They've got a last mission, bro.
Oh boy. Next week's
well,
gonna be rough.
The star power really dropped off by the third one, where it looks like it's entirely unknown Russian actors.
Well, I'll say the good news is our movie for next week, the only name I recognize is Clint Howard.
What?
So we'll see one person. Oh, Uwe Boll's in it playing Hitler. That's why I saw pictures of him dressed up as Hitler. So he plays Hitler in the movie we're doing next week.
Oh no.
Oh,
no. Oh God. What are we doing with our lives?
Next week's gonna be rough.
Honestly, if it's up free somewhere, I say the last week of the month we just do the Far Cry movie.
Oh no.
I would love to.
Yeah, I'll figure out if it's streaming anywhere. I mean, yeah, overall, this movie was it was fine. I didn't hate it, like I kind of expected to, but it was very kind of by the numbers.
It was watchable, which is a lot more than I was expecting. And some of the fight scenes were actually cool.
Yeah, I thought the deaths were pretty decent, especially compared to last week where there was really no gore or anything. This one had some pretty good blood splatter and stuff in it. But all the acting, because Michael Madsen just playing Michael Madsen. Michelle Rodriguez is essentially doing what she always does, but with a bad accent.
Her voice in this movie is so weird, and also she's got blue contacts. I was like, what is going on with her? Oh my God.
Very light British accent was incredible.
Yes.
The script was so terrible, though. The way that they talked to each other, I was like, people don't talk like that. And the way they made it a period piece was that they just had everybody, instead of saying, don't go there, they'd be like, do not go there.
Well, but also, Rain is wearing spandex.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that was a thing during these times, but they were just superhero kind of thing. Put her in spandex. Ben Kingsley is doing, a full-on Lance Henriksen, current day Lance Henriksen guest spot where he just, barely acts. He just says his lines and it's just done.
Yeah, they probably filmed all, because this movie flips back and forth, and they show him for 1 second, and then they probably just he's like, I have 1 day for you. Can we just get it all done? And they're like, yeah, no problem. Look pensive. Bite this 14-year-old girl. Look pensive some more.
Just literally just say something about a damn fear and an eyeball, and then he was out.
Yeah.
All right, let's dive into this bullshit.
Okay, so we'll see what happens, because I didn't take as good as notes as I normally do, obviously, but
who cares? This
don't
movie
feel like
doesn't
fresh
deserve
in
it.
Your brain.
I mean, we got to give everybody a reason to watch this movie, so
that's true. So basically, this movie starts in a medieval village, and we're introduced to Michael Madsen, whose name is Vladimir. He has got some hair going on in this movie.
Michael Vladsen.
Huh?
Michael Vladsen.
Okay.
I literally did not realize he was the Vladimir that's always talked about.
I mean,
yeah, I didn't know he had a name. There's Michael Madsen.
I just remember
again.
People kept talking about I think Michelle Rodriguez kept mentioning the name, and I was like, who the fuck is she talking about?
Well, the reason it's confusing is because this movie, if somehow you didn't know or couldn't tell by how we were talking, is about vampires, and Vladimir, Vlad, is the name of a very prevalent vampire, but in this universe he's just a normal guy. So it was confusing in this context because
he's a guy-pyre, not a vampire.
Yeah, he's
a dude-pyre.
A dude. Yeah, so I don't know. I think I don't know if they thought that was clever. They're like, whoa, look at me go. I don't know, stupid. Anyways, him, he's got long hair, and it is bleached, or it's not bleached, it's dyed to high heaven black. And you can tell by his face, his hair is not actually black anymore. Also, Matthew Davis, who I didn't know if I recognized him or not. But his name in this is Sebastian. And then we have Michelle Rodriguez, who is Katarine. So they basically go to this bartender and are like, hey, what's the hubbub? What's the scuttlebutt? And he's like, hey, I heard about this lady at this circus. You should go there. And so then also this other guy comes up and he's like, barkeep, absinthe, please. And then Sebastian just like notices that he doesn't have a reflection, so he just stabs him and he like dies. I was like, oh.
Everyone takes it very well.
I know. They're just like, yeah, he's fine. He gets all gross when he dies. So then we switch over to the circus and we see our main lady, Rain. And they basically have her at the circus as like a sideshow, and her powers are that her skin burns when water touches her, and also she can heal wounds. And I was like, that's okay. And also we see a guy kill a sheep, which was really sad, and then he like feeds the blood to Rain, and he like cuts her up or whatever, and then her wounds heal from the blood.
Is the water thing a vampire thing?
It's a damn fear thing, right?
Like,
I just meant like in like lore or whatever. I don't remember that being like.
It's like in lore, it's like holy water specifically, but then also vampires can't travel across bodies of water. But I specifically don't know that had anything to do with them not actually being able to touch water.
I thought in like Nosferatu, or maybe I think it was Nosferatu, they like bring him over on a boat, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, well, because they had plots of earth in his casket, so it's fine.
Yeah, that checks out. Do you guys want to know the two movies under the tagline characters say keep your friends close and enemies closer?
Yeah.
This and Blade 2.
Wow. No, like, I googled it, and it says they cannot cross running water. Water in motion is deadly to them.
That's very strange.
That's stupid. What a stupid weakness.
I think
Stupid-ass signs-ass vampires.
Yeah, that's stupid. I think it has some kind of, like, biblical, like, it comes from something biblical, which makes sense because this movie is, like, pretty, like, about monasteries and whatnot. Anyways...
If you throw water that was underneath Jesus' feet at them,
that
they
might
will
kill
be harmed.
anybody. Okay. So then, so then they like lock her back up. Her friend or somebody that she knows who works at the circus is like, here, take my cross. We're going to escape someday. And then we switch over to Ben Kingsley, whose name is Kagan.
Yeah, Kagan, something like that.
Can I interrupt momentarily? I'm reading about Dampiers, and apparently, according to folklore, they have slippery jelly-like bodies and no bones. And I don't like that at all.
How would they exist? Like what? How does that work?
I have many questions. We need to find a Dampier expert.
Yeah, if you're one, please email us so we can figure this out.
Tell me about these boneless chicken wings.
My favorite trivia thing on here is, according to Uwe Boll, Michael Madsen was frequently drunk throughout the production.
I mean, checks out. Oh, man. He's also, like, for the amount of times that they, like, reference him, he's, like, not really in it even as much as, like, Sebastian is. So it's kind of weird that they're, like, trying to make him seem like another main character, but he doesn't really do anything. Like,
Yeah,
He
he's
does
just
almost nothing.
kind of there to barely act.
Yeah. Um. So then, oh yeah. So then Ben Kingsley is like, hey, what's going on? And this guy, who I didn't write his name down until the very end, Domestier, is basically like, I don't know. This is confusing to me because like he's asking about her, but then also Rain is like running around outside, but also having flashbacks or something. So it's like reverse order. This was some questionable directing, if you ask me. But essentially, this is when we find out that Rain is half human, half vampire, and he's having flashbacks of like basically he assaulted her mom, and then that's how she showed up. And then when he came to like claim her, the mom was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then he's been looking for her the whole time, I guess. And he's a vampire, of course. And he sends out his spy to like figure out what's going on. So this is like Rain is like running or like flopping around in the woods, and she's like crying and also is having flashbacks of like, I don't know, something, right? She's like in her cage. Some guy comes in and is like getting on her, and she's like not about it. So she hits him and he bleeds, and then she starts like vamping out, and she's like, "Wah!" And she like kills him and escapes the circus and like kills a bunch of people and like gets revenge on the ringmaster guy and is like all bloody and stuff. And then she, runs into the brush.
Yeah, the beginning of this, I didn't know what was happening other than that she was a vampire.
And that sheep died.
Yeah.
And that sheep, yeah, that cute sheep. And she's like a jelly person with no
God,
bones.
that would have been amazing if that was just the hard
She's just
turn.
wiggling around.
I'm just like imagining. Yeah, exactly. I'm just imagining like hay and stuff getting stuck to them because it's like Middle Ages, and they're like. So.
It's just immediately gross and dirty.
Yeah, all the time. So Vladimir's little group thing goes to the circus, and basically they're kind of like just talking about Rain, and Vladimir's like, she might be the one, and we're like, what is he talking about? And we find out basically that they're like master vampire hunters, and all of the people who she's killed, I guess they have to cut their heads off and like burn the corpses or whatever. And they find Rain's friend who gave her the cross. And they're basically like, what happened? Did you see what happened? As she's like bleeding from the neck because she got bitten. And she's like, yeah, like it was my friend. She's not a vampire or anything. She's wearing a cross and stuff. But then Katerina just like, Katarine just like stabs her in the stomach and kills her. Like, damn, bitch. So then we find out that Billy Zane, who is, I assume, wearing a wig in this movie.
Yeah, that was his hair.
I don't think I've ever seen him with real hair. Actually, there is one point where he's like sitting at his desk, like talking to the other guy, and there's like literally he's like wearing a wig, but there's another wig on the desk, and I was like, that's weird.
You never have too many wigs.
I guess so.
I should know.
So Billy Zane essentially is Katarine's dad. And he's like, can't write, I guess, because he tells this other guy to like write down this letter for his daughter. That's essentially like he wants to make up with her. And he is talking about this stuff about Kagan and how he needs this artifact from. I wrote Brisbane Fortress, but I guess it's Brimstone. So this whole time they like reference this thing called the Brimstone Society, and I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? And it's essentially just like the group of vampire hunters. They have like different fortresses around the world or whatever.
Yeah. Like the Midnight Society.
Yeah, except they have hearts and boxes and stuff.
Similar. Close enough.
We also see that Billy Zane has bite marks, scars on his neck.
Yeah, from
Very
like
scandalous.
the most ridiculous head turn I've ever seen in a movie to like point them out.
He does. He like turns his head completely around, like in The Exorcist, and it like zooms in on his neck. So Now, Rain is sneaking around in the jungle and she sees a carriage that's getting attacked by other vampires. So she shows up and she's like, rah! And she like kills them and eats them. And this is like a Buffy situation where like the people look normal, but then they like vamp out and look all gross. So that's what we're dealing with here. Except for Rain, who just looks normal the whole time because she's.
I think it's funny that like the reason Ben Kingsley did this movie was because he always wanted to play a vampire and have like the teeth and all that shit, and then they just like CGI all of them pretty much.
Well, serves you right.
Poor Ben. They should have let him wear them in the Gandhi movie.
They should. They should have cast him.
Oh my god.
They should have cast him as the little boy and let the right one in.
That freaks me out. I don't like that.
Him just inexplicably, like the 70-year-old man,
the grown man, like
would have changed
to his visibly much younger mother.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Oh yeah, so she gets rid of all the vampires, and then the family just like lets them ride with her, and they just like chit chat, you know. So she arrives at a town and immediately kills another vampire lady, and then she's like lured off the street by this lady who is like, wow, I did not know that you existed. This is so cool because I am literally the professor and it's my job to tell you your destiny. And I'm like, how do you know that it's your job to do this if you didn't know she existed? Weird, but fine. And so she basically says, you know, I don't know how many times that we need to hear Rain's backstory in this fucking movie, but here we go again. Basically, you know, her mom gave birth to her after Kagan was gross about it, and then, you know, whatever. And since she has been a child, he has become the most powerful vampire, and she's like, hey, you need to go to this monastery to get this special talisman, and it's an eyeball. So she's like, okay, I'm gonna do that, and she steals a horse and goes. Meanwhile, the spy has reported back to, I'm just gonna call him Ben Kingsley because I think Kagan or Kagan sounds really gross, and he's basically just like, okay, cool, like go follow her, and when she gets the talisman, kill her and like give it to me. So they're like, all right. So then I like don't understand how she just like knew where this monastery was. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention, but she rides there right away and she's like, hey, help me, I got separated from my family, can I have solace and whatnot? And the guy's like, yeah, come on in. They feed her and give her an entire loaf of bread to herself. I was like, pretty good deal. Here.
I would like an entire loaf of bread right now.
It looked
same.
delicious and crusty. Like, man. Okay, so she pretends to go to sleep, and then she sneaks out later and goes to, I don't know, it's just like a room that at the end of it is like a gross glob guy, like sleeping in a chair.
This was the most video game shit I've seen in a movie in a long time.
It was also because like he's the only, it's just like humans, vampires, and then this one monster guy. He's like the only monster in the whole thing.
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
Totally unexplained too. Just he's there, like sitting in a chair for no reason.
Yeah. So he's sleeping, he's got a cross around his neck, and she notices that there is a spot in the wall for her to put the cross in. So she just automatically knows that she's got to get that, right? So he wakes up right as she has these like double swords that like maybe click together and are one sword, but when she's holding them separately, they're kind of like nightsticks in that like she's holding them by like a little handle, and then it's like the handle is up against her arm and then the blade is sticking out, and this actress cannot figure out how to use these things. Like whenever she's holding them and like doing any kind of choreography, it looks so bad. She's like she's like, ooh, I don't know.
So apparently this movie like shot on the first draft of the script. Like Uwe Boll was just like pestered the woman that wrote it for the first rough draft, and then immediately started shooting on that, and then just like made up shit for a lot of it. Like they just like apparently she said that by the time she saw the movie, like almost nothing from her draft was in it. They just kind of like not necessarily improvise, but just show up on the day. But like, what are we doing? Okay, well let's just like figure it out. And I really feel like all of the like action scenes were pretty much the same, where they just kind of showed up and were like, I don't know, just go with it.
Do some parkour.
Yeah. What if he was like, y'all just do some moves to each other and we'll film it, and it'll be cool.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post.
Like,
I mean, that's...
I feel like this scene coming up with like the giant fucking saw blades, they were just like, can you just do a cartwheel and we'll just fucking put some shit around it.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, that story does not surprise me at all, because this script, they're just like, yeah, say generic things that you think a medieval person would say to this guy, and then they're like, all right. I just now imagine that like the Rain actress like showed up. Her name's not Bloodrayne, I don't know.
I mean, her name's Rain, isn't it? So it might as well be.
Yeah, she just like showed up.
Her full name's Rain Blood. Oh,
yeah,
easy mistake.
It's Blood, Rain. Yeah, they just like handed her the weapons and are like, here you go, and she's like, I don't know how to use these. They're like, it's fine, just go. Because that's what it looks like. So anyways,
just don't cut yourself. It's fine.
Yeah, right. We can't afford props, real props, so this is like actual blades. Just roll with it. So she's trying to like sneak up to this gross like blob guy, and he wakes up at the last minute and like swings at her with a mallet, and they like fight. She's like doing weird flips that like don't even look like they would have saved her from what he's trying to do to her, but it's fine. Eventually she like gets some kind of mace thing and like smashes his head in, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was pretty like decent looking. I think my biggest complaint with this movie is the same shit that people complained about like Iron Fist for, where the editing is like every shot of this movie is like 2 seconds long. And especially when it gets to like fight scenes, where it's just like this constant quick edit, because they just would be like, do a flip, all right, cut to something else, all right, now do another backflip, and then we'll like edit it together, and it just everything just looks like shit.
I'd agree with that. So she takes the cross and puts it into the wall, and a secret door opens into a booby trap room, which is essentially just a room where a bunch of razor blades are like zipping around, and she's just like standing in the doorway like watching it like and then I don't know, she's fine. I guess she doesn't flip or something, and she gets to the box that has the eyeball in it, and then when she picks it up, the room okay, this scene was like so wacky to me. So
I mean, this was basically the laser room in Resident Evil, but not as cool.
Yeah. So the room starts filling with water, and she's like, oh no, because remember, she can't touch water. So I guess like whenever she was trying to enter the room before, one of the blades like kicked her like sword up into the ceiling. So she just like jumps up onto the sword that's sticking out of the ceiling and like is like clinging to it upside down, and then like also the box opens, so the eye starts falling out, and she grabs it, and then she looks at it, and then it's like and then she falls and is not allergic to water anymore.
Yeah, because like I don't understand how she absorbs this eye at all.
She just looked at it.
But
yeah, that was weird. I guess I looked away because she had an eye, and then I looked back and like the eye was gone, and I guess it was her eye. I don't know.
She like looked at it, and it zoomed into her eye, but then when it cut back, she just wasn't holding it anymore, and I was like, did she drop it? What happened? But then the priest guy comes in and is like, you absorbed the eye. And I was like, okay. And also, sometimes you can tell that her eye is a different color, but not all the time. So I'm not sure.
Also,
Think they forgot to CG it sometimes.
Also, she's wearing boots when she dropped into the water, so like I don't know what she was worried about.
Right? She has like
Like, it's
she has
fine.
like knee-high boots. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like leather boots. Like the water's not going through them. You'll be fine.
I feel like they were like, okay, so she gets the box, but we need a reason for her to absorb the talisman. And instead of someone being like, why doesn't she just open the box and look at it? Some guy was like, no, I have an idea. She's gonna Spider-Man off of the ceiling on her sword and then drop it. And it just was like, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Anyways, so the priest is like, hey, yeah, you absorbed the eye. We've been guarding it for centuries. LOL. And then he's like, okay, but there's 2 other talismans. There's also a rib and a heart. And they belonged to a long dead vampire named Beliar.
Billy Zane.
Who found Billy. I wish it was Billy Zane.
Yeah.
I wish it was the guy that I thought was Billy Zane. If they were both in this movie, whoa, I don't know. Maybe too much power. Okay, so this vampire had found a way to defy the things that kill vampires, which in this is water, crosses, and I don't know, fire. I don't remember what the other one. Daylight. It's daylight.
Sun? Yeah.
Yeah. So and so then when he was finally destroyed, which I don't think they even said how they destroyed him, but basically like his body parts were taken so that I don't know, whatever. And also if one of the vampires could collect all of the talisman, then they could rule the world. And every time that Rain talks, she just says like the dumbest shit. She's like, I don't care about the world. All I care about is my mission, which is to kill my father. Like every time someone says something to her, she has to be like, I don't care about that. All I care about is my mission.
I mean,
I'm like,
I feel like
who cares? And then she's like, my mom was murdered in front of me.
Everybody's life mission is to kill Ben Kingsley, I believe.
That would check out.
This is why she got cast as the Terminator.
My God, that's right. That's why I recognized her. I was like, she looks familiar, but I'm not looking this up.
Yeah, she was in Terminator 3.
Yeah, that checks out.
Well, good for her. So, oh, goodness. Oh my gosh. Okay, so essentially at that point, Ben Kingsley's army attacks. Okay, this was like really weird because they just showed her like standing there with her sword out, and then it just kind of like panned over to her sword being through somebody's eye, and I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
It just was like very abrupt. Also, Vladimir's group is there too. There's just like a lot of fighting that happens. Essentially, like the priest gets killed, and then I just wrote that guy, Damastier, just goes, hey, and just like punches her out and then takes her. And I was like, it's that easy, I guess. So then also at this point, Katarine finds like the messenger from Brimstone or something that has a note that basically is like, hey, by the way, Brimstone Rome is gone.
This Brimstone shit I did not understand.
Yeah. So I also like don't understand this next part with so basically Dom takes Rain to this layer, which is Meatloaf's, like I wrote orgy guy, but it's like Meatloaf's layer. And if his whole like objective was to take her to Ben Kingsley, like I don't understand why he came to this other place, because there's like this whole back and forth with Meatloaf where he's basically like, I can have anything I want. I don't see he doesn't talk like that, but Ben Kingsley's not here. I want to keep I want to keep Rain because her eyeball is crazy, and he's like touching her and stuff. And then they're gonna have Dom like thrown into the dungeon or something. And I was like, why would he take her there to begin with? So.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
So meanwhile, like
that's what
Sebastian...
happens when you make up the script on the spot.
Yeah, essentially. So
Day-to-day.
Sebastian and Vlad are just like fighting through the sex dungeon. Like there's also a dungeon where there's like orgies happening. And like Meatloaf is like, yeah, and he's like trying to touch her and stuff, and then she wakes up and bites him, so he stabs her. Then there's a bunch of fighting happening. Vlad and Sebastian like reach the orgy chamber and like shoot the glass out of the window, so light comes in and kills Meatloaf. And then they take Rain.
R.I.P. to a bat out of hell.
Like, what the fuck? What a weird, like...
Pouring out for loaf meat.
Yeah.
Apparently, the main actress is the only reason Meatloaf was in this movie. She was like, yeah, we should put Meatloaf in it.
He's like, I only want to be in it if I can have a room full of naked ladies. And they were like, we can do that.
Yeah.
And a wig.
Uwe Boll was like, I'm just going to go find a bunch of sex workers to put in here because I refuse to pay good money.
That's rude. So, essentially they're on a boat. They got their flippy floppies. I'm going to say that every time.
The boat is in the orgy dungeon.
Yeah.
They're boating around the orgy dungeon.
They're just like... The people in the orgy are like the waves, and they're just like floating on top of them.
Oh God.
It's like a society situation. So Sebastian and Vlad are basically just like talking about Rain, and she wakes up and is like, hey. So they get to the fabled Brimstone Society, which is just a building with a bunch of vampire hunters, I guess, essentially. They lock her up in a cell. Meanwhile, we find out that Ben Kingsley. It's almost, it's like his, a step down. Before you're a knight, the king, you're a knight. So, we find out that he has the rib talisman. And meanwhile, Rain, asks them for some rat blood and tells her backstory fucking again. And then after hearing the story, Vlad lets her out of the cell and is like, hey, if you want to stay here and train, you can. And she's like, okay, cool. Katarine is pissed off about it, and but it doesn't matter because no one listens to her. And then Rain and Sebastian train, basically like doing hand-to-hand combat. There's like a weapons training thing. Eventually, like, one of her swords breaks, and she's like, oh, my friend's dead. And they also give her new clothes. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. And another immediately baffling scene. Rain is basically like, hey, Sebastian, I hear noises in my head. And he's like, okay, well, okay. Then he's like, you're not the only one that's sad. And then she's like, but he killed my mom. And then he's like, oh yeah? Well, my parents also died, and I would have been a vampire, but Vlad saved me. And then she's like, okay. And then she takes a nap and wakes up and immediately has sex with Sebastian. I guess their chemistry was stronger than I realized, because I thought this was very unexpected. And also that scene looked really terrible to shoot.
I mean, I give them credit for at least doing something like out of the ordinary with a sex scene, as opposed to them just being on, like, I guess a hay bale like it probably should have been.
I just don't understand. I don't know. I was startled. I was not expecting that to happen. So now they're in love, I guess. Ben Kingsley is like, bring me my thralls! And then he has like a bunch of his guys that he just calls thralls the whole time, which I thought was pretty funny. And he's like, "Go kill them all and bring me rain." So, Rain, there's just like the scene of them like eating dinner together, and they're like, "Haha, everything's fine." Rain's got her new outfit on. I have to say, her new pants look kind of dumpy. I wasn't really about her new leather pants.
Yeah.
They looked like I don't know. They just looked not great. Um, Katarine and Rain have like a little friendly duel or whatever, wherein Katarine tells her that Billy Zane is her dad and is also a vampire. And at the same time, Dom is like talking to Billy Zane and is like, "Hey, I don't think it's cool that you're talking to your daughter when she's our enemy or whatever. Also, can you please tell me where their hideout is?" And Billy Zane's like, instead, why don't you just come over to my side and we can just like, not do that. But he doesn't want to do that. So Vladimir, Sebastian, and Rain go to town to get supplies because Katarina's like, "We need to eat. We don't have any food." But it was all a ruse because while they're gone getting supplies, Ben Kingsley's army attacks. So, also Rain gets new swords.
Yeah, she deserved it.
Yeah, I mean, her other one was broken. So then when they're leaving, they find a messenger that is basically just like, "Hey, I'm from Brimstone," or whatever it's called, and everybody's dead. Vladimir is like, that's weird. This is weird. They're just trying to lure us back there because we're the only ones that are alive and we should not go." And while he's over there talking to Sebastian about this, the messenger tells Rain that Katarine turned and she was the one that lured the army to the island, but then he dies. So instead of telling anybody, she just pretends like she's sleeping and then goes to like sneak away from them as they're sleeping. But Sebastian follows her and they argue. And then she's like, "Hey, I have to go find the heart. I know where it is because I can hear it." And he's like, "Okay, well, here you go." And they swap necklaces because they're cute BFFs. Sorry, someone's dragging a
body
fridge down the stairs. I don't know if you can hear that. It's very loud.
What if there's a body in the fridge?
There might be.
Yeah.
It's,
what if
you could fit a few.
If Indiana Jones is in there?
Well, R.I.P.
Waiting out the bomb.
We'll fix it in post. It's fine. What happened?
I'm not fixing anything in post. Are you kidding?
I'm not making it to post.
Okay. They made friendship bracelets. Rain goes back to Brimstone and like looks around. Everyone's dead. And she just, goes down into their like subaquatic layer of their monastery underground and finds that Katarine is down there making some guy like dive around in a lake because her grandfather put the heart talisman down there somewhere. So she needs to find it because she wants to give it to her dad, Billy Zane. So Rain goes around to like a different part of the lake and jumps in and catches up to Katarine right when she finds the talisman box. They're like struggling underwater. Katarina stabs her.
This shit was so stupid.
Yeah. Because they're like struggling underwater, whatever, and then Katarine like gets out of the water with the box, but then Rain just like jumps up and bites her and she dies. And she takes the heart. I was like, okay. So now Sebastian and Vladimir are just like waiting outside of Ben Kingsley's castle, just like waiting for Rain to show up. And Rain does, and she basically shows up. She's got her hair pulled back in a ponytail now for some reason. And she's like, "Hey, I brought the heart for my dad. I want to see him." And Dom's like, I don't know about that, and like locks her up. He takes... This part was confusing to me too because I thought he opened the box and saw that the heart was there, but maybe he didn't. And then I was like, oh, is it going to be Katarine's heart? But then nothing happens with that because later when Ben Kingsley opens the box, it's empty.
Yeah, I
So
don't
I don't know what.
remember if they even look in the box. I feel like they just grabbed her, and then the next thing was just like, we have the box.
What a fucking idiot. So yeah, so they put her in the cell. Dom gives him the box, and I feel like he would have been able to like sense it or whatever if she was like, they're talking to me. But it's fine. And then Ben Kingsley is like, ah yes, we must have a special time. Thralls, leave me, and all of his thralls leave the room. Um, Sebastian and Vladimir are like, okay, well the only way to get in there is to just get in there and then have them arrest us. So that's what they do. And then Dom is like, hello, Rain, there will be a ceremony to extract the eye. Ha ha. And she's like, that sounds scary.
Yeah, she wasn't
So
wrong.
this is where my notes get not great. um basically they get Rain into the ceremony room and strap her to the table, and she's like, hey, why are you doing this? Like, I brought this to you myself, and like we can be friends or whatever. And he's like, no, I'm just gonna take the eye, and if you survive, like you can stay, that would be cool. And she's like, okay, like no, that sounds bad. So Vlad and Sebastian like trick the guards into opening the cell and like kill him, and they get free and they're running around fighting. They're fighting at the ceremony. And that's when I wrote Ben Kingsley discovers that the heart isn't there. So I don't know what's up with that. If she just like, I don't know. That seems like
Yeah,
such a.
I don't remember like
If
what the deal was with all that.
if these like talismans are that important, I feel like you would have just like took a peek and made sure it was in there or something. But it's fine. So
Again, making it up on the day.
literally. So meanwhile, like Vlad and Sebastian are just like fighting around the ceremony room. Sebastian eventually like cuts. So Brain's also like grappling with this like priest guy or whatever. I don't know. But Sebastian like cuts her free and she starts fighting. Everyone's fighting. Eventually, Ben Kingsley stabs Vlad and he dies. I assume he like falls to the ground and then we never see him again. So I assume he's dead.
He just fell asleep.
Yeah, he just took a nap.
Yeah. He's like, oh, that didn't feel good. I'll just sleep it off. Sebastian is fighting with Dom a bunch. Essentially, he he's also stabbed. Like I think maybe Dom like stabbed backwards and stabbed him, but then Sebastian like just fights through the pain and like cuts his neck or whatever. So he's dead. But then Sebastian's also not in a good way. Rain is like fighting Ben Kingsley and they're like dueling and he's like he's just trying to like talk her into being evil with him, and she's like, no, I'm not about that. And he like stabs her pretty bad and she's like, ah, and he's like got her on the ground and he's gonna like pour holy water on her, but Sebastian shoots a bow and it hits the holy water and like explodes all over him, and he's like, ow, that's not great. And then he shoots another arrow and Ben Kingsley like grabs the arrow midair and is like, oh, sucks. Because then Rain grabs the arrow and jams it into his chest, and then he gets all gross and dies.
The end.
So yeah, he dies. Rain's like, oh man. She goes up to Sebastian, who is dying, and tries to turn him into a vampire, but he's like, no, I'm not about that life. Peace out. And then he dies, and she's really sad. She just like looks around at the room that has now everybody is dead except her. Oh.
What's your dog barking about, Katie?
I don't have a dog. That was Brain. She barked. She's sad. She's howling at the moon. And then she walks very slowly and sits on the throne as the camera just close zooms into her face, and then it's the end.
Yeah.
What?
The end of the franchise. There's no more movies after this.
That's it. So.
Yeah.
So is she Queen Vampire in number 2 and 3?
I don't know because I haven't watched them yet.
I mean,
she sat on the throne, but it seems like they don't really treat her as Queen Vampire.
I would almost bet money that the sequels just pretend like this movie didn't exist and just like do their own thing.
So
like Rampant 2.
Yeah, so Rain, the half-human, half-vampire warrior, ventures to America's 1980s Wild West to stop the vampired Billy the Kid and his posse of vampire cowboys. That's the sequel.
She is not
incredible
Queen Vampire of America. She is Queen Vampire of wherever they were supposed to be. So
yeah,
they don't care.
It's the Wild West in 2 and then World War II in 3.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I mean, she like absorbed the other stuff, so now she should have like no problem.
Clint Howard is in the third one.
This second movie takes place 100 years after the first one.
Does that make sense with the Wild West? I guess, yeah, 1880, and then the other one I guess would be 1780s. That maybe makes sense. I don't know. Time's an illusion.
Yeah, except for 19th century. Yeah, I don't know. And then World War II.
Yeah, this was
under the trivia for the second one. It says, Zach Ward and Brendan Fletcher played brothers in Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Okay. Yeah, they look so alike.
Would you guys like to know the movies under the tagline "breast licking"?
Oh no!
Oh god!
This is number 2. Number 1 is a movie I've never heard of called Betty Blue. Number 3, The Exotic House of Wax. A movie about history's most memorable icons come to life for an amorous meltdown in this interactive Please Touch museum.
Please Touch museum. Gross.
These some Penthouse movies on here.
Ooh, bare-chested male.
Anything good under that one?
No. It's like Vikings, Tenet, Avengers Endgame, Palm Springs.
There's some like weird taglines on this. Biting off someone's ear.
Oh no! Sheep is one. Emma, It, Zootopia. Wow.
It?
What about Patricide?
What about what?
Patricide.
I don't.
Gladiator. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Thor. It.
This is
weird.
Number 1 for decapitating a corpse.
This is the only one under Bite Scar.
What do you think is number 1 for Stabbed in the Head?
Lords of Chaos.
No, it is Whatever the Hell Greenland Is.
All right.
And then 2 and 3 are Deadpool 1 and 2. And then Goodfellas.
Where do you think Shrek is at under Ogre?
4.
Katie?
Farther down.
It is number 3. Number 2 is 300. Number 1 is The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. How was Shrek not number 1?
There are no ogres.
MacGuffin?
Yeah, MacGuffin's a thing. Like it's like the thing
like a countdown timer for a bomb, like
yeah, it's the thing that's like leading the plot. So it's essentially like in this, it would have been like the heart and the eye, or whatever. Like Ben Kingsley wanting those things.
Oh. There's a lot of not great tags in this one.
I got. What do you think?
Skull crushing.
Number one for terrible dialogue.
It's not this.
The Room.
Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith.
Wow.
Over Episode 1.
Come on. How is Bloodrayne and Mac and Me back to back on this? This is so number one, the Star Wars movie, then Jupiter Ascending, and then Cube. Which I might disagree with. Might I don't know. Cube I don't remember. Cube I liked, but I remember having pretty bad dialogue. Dragon Ball Evolution, The Hills Have Eyes 2, then Bloodrayne, then Mac and Me. I like if you took Mac and Me out though, it would be Bloodrayne, Ultraviolet, and Resident Evil back to back.
Oh.
Cool Cat Saves the Kids.
Wow.
Sonic Live in Sydney. A audio play from the live show at Sega World Sydney. Sonic, Tails, and Sally have to... Wow. So a live Sonic play.
Great. They love also, like, shit, I forget what they're called now. Like, voice dramatizations. So for, like, a lot of animes, they'll write stories where... Excuse me. I need a cup of blood. My bad. They'll just like write stories and have the voice actors just like act out the script, and then they just like have it on CD. It's very strange.
Yeah, that checks out.
I mean, I guess it's not super different than an audiobook, like a full cast audiobook, but
all right. Don't watch this movie unless you hate yourself like I do. It's I'll say at least it was only an hour and a half. I feel like
it went by fairly quick.
Anyone else? Well, for two of us, it did.
Oh my God. It definitely could have been shorter too, though.
I mean,
that just cut
out like the extra 4 times that she told us about her past or whatever, and then
cut out every scene with fucking Ben Kingsley not doing anything in the entire meatloaf scene.
Yeah, that was not needed.
All right. Any news, Katie?
I have no idea.
All right. Nothing good.
I've got news.
What is it?
It is Elizabeth Banks set to direct a thriller called Cocaine Bear.
Oh, yeah.
Which I assume is going to be the greatest film of all time.
I guarantee it's going to be terrible because it's going to just be a bunch of people and then like 5 minutes of this bear. Like,
what?
That as long as the bear's all hopped up on cocaine murdering those people, that's fine.
Once I saw like based on a true story about like,
oh no,
I was just like, this is probably not going to be good. I guarantee it's like all I want is an hour and a half of a bear fucked up killing people, and that's going to be like nothing in the movie. I bet it'll probably be like an hour of like people looking for their cocaine, and then all of a sudden there's a bear for like 10 minutes.
It's the guys that do all the Lego movies. So I have.
What if it's like the bear shows up and then like Leonardo DiCaprio pops out of him?
Oh man. I was hoping George Clooney would show up.
Maybe.
All right. You guys watch anything good this week? I watched.
Well, it's only been like 3 days since the last time we recorded.
I watched Casino for the first time, and it was fine. I'm like 10 seasons into Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Jeez. The Flash new season just came out, so I caught up on that, and then I caught up on Supergirl. So that's like essentially all I did.
Is Flash?
I watched Panic Room. Panic Room kicks ass.
The Jodie Foster. movie.
Yeah.
That movie's pretty good.
Dwight Yoakam.
Oh my god, I forgot the heyday of him being an actor. Yeah, I think the only thing I watched was Casino. James Woods, very creepy in that movie, and also improvised all of his lines, which is very...
I don't like that.
Checks out.
It ruled when they kicked the shit out of him, though.
Huh?
That it ruled when they kicked the shit out of him, though.
Yeah, we watched it for an episode of Caitlin and Mine's podcast, and I was like, everyone kept telling me, wait to see what happens with James Woods. So the entire movie, I was waiting for him to die, and he did not, and I was very upset.
Oh, yeah.
But when they're like talking on the phone, and he's just like, "Can you feel me?"
Ew.
I was like, oh god. And he starts talking about her being like 14 years old and all this shit, and I was like, yeah, this makes sense that he made up all of these lines.
Yep.
It's bad.
100%.
Alright, you guys have anything to shout out? Kit, you been watching wrestling still?
Oh yeah. I don't even know what I'm on anymore. It's 2006, so like everything in WWE is basically unwatchable. It's just stupid garbage.
Yeah, I checked out like a couple years before that, and then jumped back in for a little bit. I think in like probably around the time the Shield started.
Oh yeah.
So that was like what, maybe like 2010, maybe
Like
maybe a little before that.
yeah, I think around 2010 is when it's supposed to like pick up, and there's some good stuff happening. But God, right now, it's like the only good thing that has happened is they did a storyline where Rey Mysterio wins the Royal Rumble right after Eddie Guerrero died. So he wins the heavyweight belt at WrestleMania, and it's like, oh, cool, yay, feel good. But then he loses it a month later. And it's like, okay, well, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, that checks out. He loses it to like Brock Lesnar probably.
I don't remember who it was. It was some like DQ fucking bullshit. You know how WWE is.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
Yeah,
oh, well,
totally.
now you're feuding with Chavo Guerrero.
Gosh, Chavo, jeez. What a heel. Maybe.
No, he was like a very mid-card, somewhat likable guy, from what I remember.
Until he turned on Ray.
How dare.
Well, at least you got to see the Punjabi Playboy last week.
Yeah, he's already like vanished.
Yeah.
He had like 2 matches and now he's gone.
I pretty much, that's what I remember, is he would just show up like for like a month and then just not be there for like 3 months. Just long enough to like
he
be
didn't
a
even
big
wrestle
guy.
in the he didn't even wrestle in the like prison match. That was like the Big Show and Undertaker. And it's like, well, what?
I remember those matches were extremely weird.
Everything's so stupid. It's all so bad.
All right, did you have something besides that to shout out?
They just re-released finally the Super Meat Boy soundtrack on Bandcamp. It's called Nice to Meet You, but you know, like meat.
I don't get it.
And if you like video game music, it rules. A+. Buy it. It's like $4.
$4 in this economy? What about you?
Maybe in 9 months, whenever we get a $8 stimulus
Yeah,
check.
eventually we'll get $4
Maybe.
stimulus.
Yeah.
Specifically for that reason.
Yeah, you'll just have to scrape together the... Yeah.
All right, what about you, Katie?
My shout out is... If you're listening to this episode the day that it comes out, tomorrow is Kit's birthday.
Boo.
Oh, shit.
So...
I forgot.
A reminder, everyone buy him his Bandcamp stuff.
Aw.
So happy birthday in advance, but it will not be in advance next week. I mean, I haven't really been doing anything. My other shout out will be pistachio
The internet.
muffins. not the internet, because no, I do like the internet. I don't like internet providers.
Yeah, nobody does.
Fair.
Because it's also St. Patrick's Day this weekend, which I don't super care about, except for the fact that they always come out with pistachio muffins that they dye very, very green, and it looks crazy, but they're like my favorite muffins ever, and this is like the only time that you can get them. So I'm gonna be chowing down on some.
All right. I have a couple. Not Kit's birthday. You don't need this old man getting older. When this comes out, the new Closer album is out, so you should buy that. I showed that out like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that. But they was a Bandcamp Friday. They released or put up for pre-order a new Zayo album that I am very excited about. So go buy that. It's called The Crimson Corridor, because I think it's a corridor made of blood, which is pretty cool.
Ooh, the Bloodador.
Yeah, that's what they should have called it. I'm gonna write them.
Yeah.
What the fuck, dudes? Get your shit together.
They don't have to pay me royalties. It's fine. They can have that one for free.
Just send me a tape. All right, next week, Blubberella.
Oh.
We get to watch Uwe Boll play Hitler, so that's gonna be great.
We'll see.
Christ.
There's no way this isn't like the worst movie he's made. I feel like, but maybe we'll be surprised.
I saw the poster and I.
It's not gonna be good. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/IPSufferPodcast. I don't know why I was saying Patriot.
Patriot.
The
We're all
Patriot.
Yeah.
here.
The Patriot.
That's gonna be the fucking when Patreon starts banning conservatives, they're gonna start Patriot. Our next bonus episode for April, we picked the theme, which we're doing classics that we individually probably should have seen by now, but for whatever reason haven't. Katie.
Sallow.
Yeah.
Sallow 3 times.
Sallow, Human Centipede 2.
Oh no.
You know.
That one's definitely a classic.
Have you seen Sallow, Kit?
I have not.
No, I've seen it. It's mediocre at best. But Katie picked Scanners. Kit picked Soylent Green, so we can watch Kirk Douglas scream at the end.
Can't wait.
And I picked Houseu. So all of those are on HBO Max if you want to watch those. You can watch those in the Snyder Cut as Tom and Jerry. Because apparently HBO Max accidentally put the Snyder Cut for when you clicked on Tom and Jerry for like 2 hours. So a bunch of people watch the Snyder Cut already instead of Tom and Jerry.
Have you seen it?
That's hilarious.
What were we saying, Kit?
Have you seen the people on Twitter that think it's like they think it's a conspiracy?
Oh God, yeah.
No.
And like Warner Brothers is trying to sabotage the. Oh God, it's absurd.
Goodness.
It's like, yeah, man, they totally spent the extra like $80 million on it.
Yeah,
to sabotage it by accidentally uploading it as Tom and Jerry for 2 hours.
Hey man, the globalists do weird things.
I mean, what a
Alex
weird.
Jones screaming about the Snyder Cut.
Honestly, he's gonna end up watching it and screaming about it because he did an entire episode about Watchmen when it came out. So, also,
No.
thought Rorschach was the hero. So, and also could not
Of course he
pronounce any of the characters' names correctly.
I
think
that
he kept-
sounds about right.
I think he kept being like Ozymandias was like the way he pronounced Osmandy.
Ozzy Matt Damon.
Yeah, I was dying every time.
I love it. What a different, like, if you are trying to watch Tom and Jerry, that is a very different mood set than trying to watch the Snyder Cut. So it's crazy to me that people just like started it and were like, this is fine.
Can you imagine pressing play on Tom and Jerry, expecting to be disappointed, and then the Snyder Cut plays, and you're like, "Oh God!"
What? I can't look away. What have I gotten myself into? Your 7-year-old's like, what?
Why did Tom and Jerry get so fucking bleak? Why is everybody so sad? Yeah. Support our Patreon. We'll watch the Snyder Cut and Tom and Jerry.
Oh no.
Honestly, I feel like Tom and Jerry is probably relatively watchable. Snyder Cut
Watch the Snyder Cut of Tom and Jerry.
Yes. Leave us ratings and reviews on iTunes. Tell us who you think Tom and Jerry would be in the DC universe. Obviously, Blue Beetle and fuck, I can't think of the dude's name now. It just like left my brain. Yeah. Even though that's not who I was gonna say, but Jerry would definitely be Steel. Follow us on Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. Follow Kid at Hidden Kidstery. So you can get those sweet birthday Bandcamp gifts to him.
Oh yeah.
Follow Katie at Werewolf Face. Send her birthday Bandcamp gifts too, even though she's not on Bandcamp. Just send them.
Send him into the void.
Yeah.
Launch him into space.
Listen to my other podcast, Dan Cape Movie Club. I think when this is out, our episode on Casino should be out. Spoiler, I was very ambivalent to it because I do not like Martin
Unbelievable.
Scorsese. No, well, like the movie, I think was fine, but I don't like mobster type movies.
Italians.
And I don't think I like Martin Scorsese movies, specifically his like mobster movies. Because I've seen that and like Goodfellas now, where I was just like, I
could see how that would be a losing combination then.
Like, it was a movie that I thought visually was pretty good, and I liked like the acting in it, but I didn't care for like the story really, and I could use about 90% less voiceover for a movie that is literally all voiceover.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. The entire movie is voiceover from
No, I'm sure I would not like it. There's no way I would like it. I just saw a post about Cocaine Bear, and it says, yeah, true events from 1985. A 170-pound bear accidentally consumes 70 pounds of cocaine.
That's almost half his body weight.
That was dropped.
No, wait. Never mind.
This post has so
I
many
don't know why I
typos
thought you said
in it,
150 pounds.
The bear is 175 pounds, and it's over 70 pounds.
Almost.
As it was dropped from a plane by a smuggler.
All right, well, I'm sure we probably will talk about that being terrible in like 3 years when it's made.
Right.
All right. I guess watch Blubberella next week.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say do not.
I'm gonna say you should, because it seems like a movie that everybody should experience. It's gonna be something. All right. I hope you suffer, but why Guerrilla Radio?
I hope you blood, but rain.
I hope you rain but blood. Also, still disappointed there was no raining blood from Slayer in this.
I mean, also,
it would have fit into that fucking saw blade scene or the fight scene with that weird creature dude so easily.
I actually don't even remember any music at all. I think it was completely silent.
No, it was a very like
medieval
minstrel score bullshit for what I remember.
Yeah, like opera singing. Yeah, there was no Bloodrayne at all ever in it. Like blood splattered a little bit, but it did not rain.
I'm gonna watch the other two now just to see what these movies are like as a Western and then a fucking World War II movie.